So the topics that we're going to cover today are an overview of financial management training. We're going to go over VCA, which of course is viability, capability, and accountability. We're going to go over financial record keeping, what you need, what we need to see, example budget, required documentation, and claim documentation. So let's get started. So there's 3 performance standards that are required by CACFP regulations. It's the financial viability and management, administrative capability, and program accountability. These standards must be maintained throughout participation in the program. Sponsors must submit information to document viability, capability, and accountability. Right now, you guys have been filling out the form on the annual application. That's what we're using for now, and if moving forward, things may change a little, but we'll definitely let you know on that. Oops. Wait a minute. Let's start this again. Okay, here we go. So each sponsor must demonstrate financial viability and management through having adequate financial resources to operate the CACFP daily and sources of funds to withstand any temporary interruptions in CACFP payments. So meaning you put your sites send you all their information to put the claims in, and you end up paying the claim late and don't get money till later on. Well, you need that extra money to be able to pay your site on time. You can't wait till the claim has been paid through us. You have a responsibility as a sponsor to make sure that you are able to pay even if you're not receiving your claim because you put the claim in late. And then acceptable documentation of financial viability and management include receipts of allowable costs, general ledger, or similar documentation with a chart of accounts, audits, and financial statements. I've put a PowerPoint slide in the resources for your VCA. So what that is saying is we need to see receipts of all the food purchases, you pay for products, anything you're purchasing to CACFP. Please make sure those receipts are legible. Please make sure that whatever is on that receipt is for CACFP. If it is not, either cross it off or have some kind of system in place so when we get there, we know that, maybe you put code 2 goes to CACFP and code 3 goes to Head Start or something. So we need to see that. And we need to see that you understand that, coffee is not, an allowable cost or lobster. You're not going to be feeding the kids lobster on a CACFP cost. So to help your organization maintain financial records, can you answer these questions regarding VCA about your organization? What type of financial system do you use? Is it manual or is it a computer program? How do you ensure that general accepted accounting principles are followed? Do you hire a certified public accountant to assist with your year-end financial preparation and tax reporting? And are your procedures and internal controls documented in a procedures manual, such as your management plan? So to continue some of your questions that you want to ask, and does your procedure manual include fiscal integrity and accountability for all CACFP receipts, disbursements, expenses, and assets? Do you have safeguards and controls to prevent a detect improper financial activities of employees? So I hope I'm not going too fast, but next we're going to go into financial record keeping. So here, what you want to include in your record keeping is, accurate practices that are critical to your program, as the records maintained will provide you with backup documentation to support monthly CACFP claims for reimbursement. Poor record keeping can't result in portions of your claim being disallowed. It can result in your claims being disallowed, and you may owe money back to the state. Inadequate record keeping may result in your disqualification from participating in the program, such as serious deficiency. So each institution is required to maintain records related to all program purchases and approved costs. This includes to ensure that each item purchased is allowable, ensure receipts for each purchases are saved and documented and easily readable with account codes or a bank code number, whatever you're going to use. If necessary, ensure supporting documentation such as time and attendance or mileage logs are maintained if you are using it for CACFP funds. And you still may want to maintain them even if you're not using for CACFP funds, but if you are not using your reimbursement money to pay for mileage or their time, then you don't want to put any CACFP documentation on those receipts or on those documentations. Most of the times, we're just going to be seeing, food receipts, and because we know the cost that you guys are receiving back pretty much does, barely covers the food that you are purchasing. So we understand that. And then maintain the worksheets for reporting documented monthly CACFP costs, or a general ledger with a chart of accounts. QuickBooks or other financial accounting softwares are acceptable to be used. So the required records that are needed. Your indirect cost. You need to make sure that you're not charged any more than any other program of your facility. If you have put this on your application and we saw that percentage in the backup, then you are all set to charge indirect costs. So what I'm saying is, if your company, if you're getting charged 1% for indirect cost, and somebody else is getting 0.5% of indirect costs, that's not correct. Everybody needs to be equal when it comes to indirect costs. So, but some possible approved expenses will include your food, your vending meal services. If you're vending, make sure you have a contract and that we are part of that contract. Your non-food, such as your paper products, your mileage, if you're going to, food service labor, contracted services, indirect costs like I talked about, administrative labor, audit fees, and other approved costs with prior approval. So this is what I look at on your application. Then when I come up for review, I would need to see the invoices, receipts, etc., that those charges came from. So this is just an example, of a approved cost. And you can see on the left column right here that, your previous year's reimbursement, and then what you're anticipating for your food cost and your delivery, your plates and cups and cleaning, your food preparation, purchase services, equipment. So everything that's highlighted here, it's stating that you're using CACFP funds. So I'm going to want to see those bills and those account codes that go with those funds. If you are not using CACFP for food preparation labor or, trash removal, then I don't want to see them on this budget. I hope that's understandable. So making sure that you're marking your receipts. I can't say that more and more every time, especially if you have non-credible foods on the items. Make sure they're legible. Put the CACFP account code if it's not a separate bank account. And then make sure that all documents pertaining to CACFP are marked with CACFP or codes. I know sometimes your accountings all go in and, they've got everything laid out and everything, and I'm like, how do I know that this is not all CACFP? And then they're like, oh, well, wait a minute, we put it under this code, and we put it, it's all CACFP, and it's under, 5400, and then the plates, the paper products are under 5001, and so as long as I can see that and understand how you guys are working it, that's fine. We're not saying you have to do it in one particular fashion, but these are the things that we need to see. You want to ensure your receipts required, the name of the food item. If your receipt is a little, I know sometimes they come out of the machine not too well, or, they can fade, and, then put the name of the food item and the price and the total cost, the date, the merchandise, the purchase method, and the store name. If it's not clear, it's okay that you write what it is if it's not clear. You're not going to remember when I come out 2 months from now and ask to look at these months' documentation, and if you haven't put anything on there, I don't know, and then it's not allowable. So, and then again, best practice is to purchase allowable items only. Otherwise, further documentation will need to be maintained on why you're purchasing. Again, maintain your mileage. The odometer reading from the start location to the end location. Federal mileage reimbursement rate is 67 cents. The form that we have on the website, I think it's attachment B for the budget. I need to update that because it does not have the correct cents. So I will be doing that hopefully by the end of day tomorrow. And this is, we go by the federal rate, and this is also the state rate, so it's the same. Make sure you are marking your receipts. I can't say this enough, especially if you had non-credible foods on them. Put the CACFP, account code if it's not a separate bank account again. Ensure that your receipt lists all required pieces of information, again, like the name of the item, the prices, the purchase method. Was it purchased with cash? Was it purchased with a credit card? Is it a company credit card? Is it a personal credit card? Then I'm going to need, I'm not going to just want to see those receipts of credit card, but I also need to see, the credit card statement. We're going to look for your bank statements. We need to look at all this documentation. A lot of this has come from the new integrity rules that they want us to look at a little bit more information when it's coming to your budget, the BCA. We really are going to be starting to look at that information. Your labor, document the same for both admin and food labor. Here's a little chart that you can put in, the total daycare hours worked, the non-CACFP hours worked, food service, if you're doing food service, and you can use this for your regular labor as well. So whatever you're using for your labor is fine. If anybody's getting charged hours for CACFP, we want to see that. And then also make sure you include the rate of pay so we can calculate the total CACFP salary. Indirect costs include rent, electricity, water, pest management services. You want to ensure only the applicable CACFP percentages apply to all expenses. If using a separate CACFP account, pay the bill in full and in your operating account, and then transfer the applicable percentage to the expense from the CACFP account. A lot of you don't do indirect costs. You don't do these extra things, but if you do and you run into a problem, we're here for you. Just ask questions. And then this is pretty much it. So, there's me and Bridget and Amanda, our administrator. I think I have our phone numbers on this slide as well. And then I have the non-discrimination statement. So at this time, does anybody have any questions? And it could be, something that's going on right now too that's not part of this presentation. We can try to answer some questions because we definitely have some time.